Hey YouTube, welcome to AS Academy. This is me Ajay Kumar, and today in this video we will be learning about syllogism. In this video we will be seeing about syllogism's possibility case. Syllogism's possibility case is a very easy topic, but it is also very confusing at the same time. But if you get your basics right, it is very easy. So I'll be teaching first I'll be teaching you basic points that you should remember before solving syllogism. There are 6 basic rules that you should keep in mind. So first let's see about it. So now let's see the 6 different rules that I have talked about. So I'll teach it in my way. So first I'll be drawing a basic Venn diagram and then I'll explain you the rules. Okay, fair enough, right? Let's see. So this is a basic Venn diagram that I have drawn. What I have drawn is all A's are B's, all B's are C's, and some C is D, and some D is E, right? This is a basic Venn diagram. I'll write it as basic. Right, this is a completely positive statement, completely positive Venn diagram. We don't have any negative relationship between each of the quantifiers. So I can always say if this is the statement, then the first rule will always and always be true. I'll explain. If you see in the conclusions, all A's are B's. What I have written is all quantifiers in possibility is always true, right? Can you understand? All quantifiers in possibility case is always true. I'll write an example. If I say all A being E is a possibility. Right? If I say all A's being E is a possibility, then you will be checking all A to B, right? All A to B, there is no relationship, but in possibility case, we can have possibility diagram. In the previous video we saw that for all we don't check for possibilities because it is a positive statement, but if it comes in possibility case, this is a possibility case. This is not a positive statement, this is a possibility statement, right? These two things are two different things. So all A being E is a possibility. I should try to prove that it is true, right? I'll be drawing a possibility diagram for this. So in the previous video I have explained that for all case, if this is the statement, right, all A being B is a possibility. So this is the basic diagram. So we will be drawing possibility case like this, right? All A is B. This is a definite possibility. So for this, I can draw like this. A, B, C, D, E. I can bring everything in a single circle and say that they are all interconnected with each other, right? This is a definite possibility. So by this, I can prove that the first rule stands true, right? If you see, all A's being E is a possibility, or all A's being D is a possibility. For you can compare those two things. The important thing is it should be connected with all parameter in a possibility case. If you see this, I won't even draw Venn diagram. I will simply mark this as true because this rule is always true. You can call it as a rule or even a trick. See, this comes through practice. I can completely bring all these Venn diagram in a possibility case like this, right? So I can always say A and E are connected, A and D are connected, right? This is a definite possibility. So this is rule number 1. If you find it confusing to understand, I will give a handwritten description. I will give a handwritten note in the description So you can also watch, you can also download that and read it, understand it for your better understanding, right? So we'll see the next rule. So yes, the second rule is, it is more or similar to the first rule. What the difference is, we had all here and we are now having some here. The second rule says, if you see some quantifier in a possibility case, it is always true, right? For example, if I say some a being D is a possibility. Right. If I see this statement, some A being D is a possibility, and if I check all the Venn diagrams, all the parameters are sitting under a single Venn diagram, then I will blindly mark this conclusion as true. Because we have seen that in the basic video, I have told you that for this is some case, right? Some A's or B's, right? For this, we will be drawing possibility case like this. This is a definite possibility, right? For some case. So I can also prove the same thing, that I will be connecting A, B, C, D and E in some case in possibilities, right? This also means that this. So I can always say some quantifiers in a possibility case is always true. So I can prove this with the help of this possibility case, right? For example, if I ask you a question, what is the difference between some A is B and some A being D is a possibility? For example, if I write, what is the difference between this and some A is D, right? What is the difference between this and this statement? So if I have to explain, this is a definite statement, some A is D. If I check for this one, this conclusion will be wrong, because some A, there is no some part of A connected with D, right? This is a direct statement and this is a possibility statement. I wanted to show you the difference, that's why I am drawing this. So this is this case. If I say some A is D, this is true for that statement, some A is D. But we don't see such a diagram here, right? This is for positive statement. This is a positive statement and this is a possibility statement. These two things are two different things. Please don't confuse it. If you are a beginner, you might be having a confusion. That's why I am clearly saying that these two things are two different things. For this, we don't check for possibilities, but for some A being D is a possibility. The examiner is trying to ask you that whether there can be any possibilities. For example, if I can say, even if there is 1% of possibilities to prove that some A can be D or some D can be A. So in this case, it is a direct statement, definite statement. He is definitely trying to say or trying to tell that there is some connection between A and D. So if I see there is no connection between A and D here for this statement, but for possibility statement, I should always check for possibilities, right? I should find a way to connect A and D. If I cannot connect even in a single possible diagram, then I can say this is wrong, right? If I can connect even if one time, so if I have to give an example, so if I say two different statements, if you can find the difference between each of them, I think you must be clear. If I say some Indians are rich, and in the other side, if I say some Indians are rich is a possibility, or some Indians can be rich, I'm not very sure in this statement. But in some Indians are rich, I am definitely saying that some Indians are definitely rich, right? These are the two different things. So in this case, it is a definite statement. It is 100% saying that at least some of them, sum A is D, right? But it is not sure here. And it also means that it might or might not connect. So we should check for possibilities in this case, and we don't check for possibilities in this case because this is a direct statement. This is a definite statement. So this is the second rule. I'll explain it once more. If I see some quantifier in a possibility case like this, sum A being D is a possibility. The first thing I will check is whether all the statements that are given are represented in a single Venn diagram. If it is represented, this is definitely true. You don't have to check anything. You don't have to draw a possibility diagram. You don't have to think anything. It is true. That's all. Right. This is rule number 2. Right. So, we will see rule number 3.
Now let us see the rule number 3. So, the rule number 3 says, I should have written it like this for the rule number 1 and 2, but we are improvising, right? So, the rule number 3 says, if all the parameters are represented in a single Venn diagram, that is this. For example, if all the parameters are represented in a single Venn diagram, then no conclusion is always false, right? For example, if I say no A is D, for this conclusion, this is a completely positive Venn diagram, right? There is no negative relationship between A and D or for any of them, right? There is no negative relationship. If I say a negative relationship in this particular case, for example, if all the parameters are in a single Venn diagram, and if I say no A is D or no A is C or any of them, if I connect with no quantifier, if I connect any quantifier with no conclusion, then this statement will always be false, right? This is what rule number 3 says, right? If all the parameters are represented in a single Venn diagram, right, then no conclusion is always false, right? For example, if I say no A is D, this is definitely false. I can blindly mark this by rule number 3. But if I have to explain, I can connect it like this in possibilities, right? I can show that all A's are D's. I can also show that all A, B, C are in a single Venn diagram, right? This is a definite possibility. Can you understand? So, going by rule 3, if all the parameters are represented in a single Venn diagram, then no conclusion is always false, right? If you see no conclusion in possibilities case, we always check possibilities for no conclusion, right? If you see all the parameters are in a single Venn diagram and if you see no conclusion, you should definitely mark it as wrong, right? No second thoughts, right? Let's see rule number 4, right? The rule number 4 is also similar to the no conclusion. So, the rule number 4 says, if all the parameters are represented in a single Venn diagram, right? That is this case. If all the parameters are represented in a single Venn diagram, then sum not conclusion is always false, right? If I say sum D is not A, right? If I say sum D is not A, it is always and always false in the possibility case, right? If it is false in any of the one diagram, for example, if it is false in the basic diagram or if it is false in the possibility diagram, we mark sum not conclusion as false, right? I have driven this formula, this rule from that. It is 100% true. You can check across any of the syllogism problems that you come across. If you see sum D is not A, and if you also find that all the parameters are sitting inside a single Venn diagram, then sum not conclusion is 100% false in all the cases, right? Can you understand? If you see sum D's is not A, or some A not D. Some not conclusion means some not, right? If you see some not conclusion, so in the conclusion, and if you see all the parameters are in a single Venn diagram, right, then you can 100% blindly mark that it is false, right, and you will be rewarded a positive mark. So this is rule number 4. Rule number 4 says that if all the parameters are represented in a single Venn diagram like this, then some not conclusion is always false, right, because this is a 100% positive statement. So we can never infuse a negative statement or a negative point of view in a positive statement, right? So I can always say that this is false in the possibility case. So I can also mark this as wrong.
So how I practice is that I will check for the statements if all the statements are in a positive way. For example, all, some and all, if it is connected in a positive statement, it comes through practice. If you can exactly tell that how a Venn diagram will look after drawing before even solving the syllogism, right? It comes through practice. If I see the statement, if it is all positive, if I will check that, I will check for a word possibilities, right? If I get a word possibilities, and I will check for a word called all. If I see all A or B is a possibility, then I will definitely mark it as true, right, without even checking, because it will be definitely true in all the cases. You can never find in this universe that one possibility that proving it is false. So I can 100% safely say that it is true for the first rule. For the second rule, I will also check some. First, I will check possibilities in the end of the statement or in the end of the conclusion, and I will check for some word. If I see some A being C is a possibility, then I can 100% say it is true. Rule number 2. See, for the next rule, rule number 3, I will check no conclusion. If I see no, not the word possibilities, if it is not connected with the word it should not be connected. If I say it is a direct statement, no A is D, and I see a positive statement, I will definitely mark it as wrong. I will not draw Venn diagram, I will not go for possibility case, nothing. You will definitely get a positive mark because it comes through practice, right? That's what I am trying to teach you. I have learned it through practice and I am trying to teach you. If you understood, you will be a very good student, right? So this is what rule number 4 says. If all the parameters, how I approach a sum not is that I will check sum not and I will see for a direct statement. If I see sum D is not A, and if I see all the parameters are in a single Venn diagram, I will definitely mark as wrong, right? This is how I have practiced, and this is how I want you to practice, right? There is no point in solving, and there is no point in satisfying your egos, right? If you know the answer, if you can solve it in a minimal possible time, it will be definitely beneficial for you. You can invest that time in some other question and you can score more marks, right? So this is how I do it. Rule number 4, right? Rule number 5 and 6 are very important. See, if you understand rule number 5 and 6, you can ace any possibility case. You can do syllogism like a pro, right? Let's see.
The rule number 5 says that all restatements are always false, right? All restatements are always false in the possibility case, right? If I ask you what is a restatement, so first we'll draw a Venn diagram for this statement. The statement says that all A is B and all B is C and some C is D, right? If I ask you what is a restatement, if you can see the same statement in the conclusion as well as in the statement. If you see all A is B and in the conclusion if it is been repeated as all A is B, it is definitely wrong in syllogism, right? It is never true because you know as a matter of fact all A's are B's, right? You know this as a matter of fact it is a truth. We should always assume that all the statements given are 100% true no matter what, right? So we always know that it is true in the statement. So if I ask you if I say my name is Ajay, and if I ask you, do you know that my name is Ajay, it is an awkward situation, right? So if this is a restatement, and if you can find the same statement given in the conclusion, you can always say this is wrong, right? You don't have to check it, right? This is a very important trick that you should remember, right? If it also given in the possibility, if all A is B is a possibility, this is a direct reverse statement, right? If all A is B is a possibility, it has already been proven that all A's are inside B, right? So I can how can I prove that it is possible? So it is an already a universal truth, right? All universal truth, we should assume that all statements are universal truth, and this truth is always should not be restatement in the conclusions, right? If it is asked in a different way, if all B's are C's, if all A, what I mean is, if all B is A, if all B is A is a possibility, then it is a reverse statement, right? Then the situation is different. We should check whether all B can go inside A. So this is a different case, and this is a reverse statement. So you should remember that all reverse statements are always false in the possibility case, right? So this is rule number 5. So now let's look at rule number 6. Rule number 6 is a very important point. You should remember it. If you remember this, syllogism possibility case is a very easy topic for you. This is very important, please listen, right? This is similar to rule number 5, but it is slightly different. I will explain, right? So all universal truth, if asked in a possibility, if asked in a conclusion, in a possibility, it is definitely false, right? All universal truth, if asked in conclusion as a possibility, it is false, right? So what do we understand from it? Let's see in the problem. So these are statements, and this is the basic diagram for it, right? Basic diagram. So we should assume that this is 100% universal truth. All statements are 100% true, and the statement that we have derived from it in the possibility case, in the possibility sums, it is 100% true, right? It might differ in other cases, but in possibility case, you should assume that this is true, right? So if I ask you, for example, if I ask you, sum D is C is a possibility, right? Sum D is C is a possibility. In statement, it is also given that sum C is D, but in the conclusion, it is reversed, right? The D has taken the place of C, and it is asked that if it is a possibility, right? Sum D is a possibility. Sum D is C is a possibility. So this is a possibility, but it is false. Why? Because we 100% know that sum D will be C because sum C are D. So they will be connected, and we know as a matter of fact it is 100% truth. It is a universal truth, but it is asked in a possibility. I have to give an example. If I know a person and his name is Ajay, right? If I know his name, and again if I ask whether your name is Ajay, that is an awkward statement, right? That is what I'm trying to explain here. If I already know a truth and I'm asking it in a possibility, that is wrong in possibility case, right? If you can understand this, you will have no doubt in possibility, right? This is a false statement because a universal truth is being asked in a possibility case, so it is 100% wrong. And also I will explain you another case. See, this you can say this as wrong because it is connected with C and D. In some case it is given in the statement. But if I ask you, sum C is A is a possibility. Sum C, we don't find sum C is A or sum A or C in the statement, but we can derive it from here, right? I can always say some part of C is A, and it is being asked in a possibility, which is wrong in possibility case, right? So I can always say this is wrong because it is a universal truth. We always know that some part of A will always be inside C. and also some part of C will always be inside A. They are interconnected, right? It is universal truth in the possibility case, and it is being asked as, can it be a possibility? It is being raised, it is raising a question that some C is A is a possibility. So universal truth asked in a possibility case is always false. This rule is very important, so please try to understand. So these are the 6 rules that we should remember before solving syllogism's possibility case, right? If you understand these 6 rules, you will have no doubts. So I will be doing a continuation video to this because it is already being 20 to 25 minutes video, so it will be very difficult for you to comprehend. So what I will be doing is that I will be adding a continuation video in the next few hours. So if you watch this video completely, and please go and continue in that video, because I will be solving very difficult level sums in possibility case involving all these 6 rules included, right? So see you in the next video. Bye.